Good afternoon, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my episode 6 of Afternoon Tea Time on a Card. As you can see, I do have my iced tea with me, but I'm going to move it over because I tend to be on the clumsy side, and I probably would knock that over. I'm just going to give it a few more seconds for everybody to join me. So today I'm using the Artfully Aware, the coordinating dies. And for those of you watching this later on YouTube or on my business page, don't forget that you can join my Stamp and Ink Designs group where I host these afternoon tea time and a card videos, live videos every 2 weeks if I can. So hello everyone. So I'm going to show you the card that we're going to make today. This is the card we're making. I've got designer paper. This is the new Follow Your Art that will be available on June 4th in the new catalog. So I've gone ahead and made a frame. And I'm going to show you how I use the Stamparatus today to do both of these images, because you'll notice there's several ink colors there. And I want to show you how I did that without using black ink so that it doesn't smudge when you color. So for ink colors, we've got the new terracotta tile, Pacific Point, and Sahara sand. I've got the rectangle stitch dies. And for those of you guys that don't have these yet, we have a ton of dies in this set. We've got all of these out here, and then we have more on this side that I've got. So it's a large set, and it's worth purchasing. Now, as far as the designer paper, let me show you the patterns, because some of you might not have seen this yet. So these are brand new paper packs. I've used some of this sheet already. And somebody asked me the other day if this stamp set, where did I put it? So the, not the Artfully Aware. I'm losing my train of thought. Let me see if I can grab it. This is the stamp set that goes with this designer paper. It starts with art, and it does coordinate with the Crafting Forever stamp set. If you have that one and you want to add to your collection, this is a cool stamp set to add. So let me go ahead and continue showing you the patterns. I'm going to go a little slow, so hopefully it won't be too blurry and it has time to focus between the sheets. This one's got little paper clips all over it. This is the one I'm using today. And let me flip over to side number 2. This one has ribbons and twine, some splattering. This one has pencils and pens, some stripes, and the last one has some stitching. So this is the paper I'm using for my card today. Let me bring that back in. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out my little square. I'm going to bring the big shot in to do that. And I'm actually going to position these one right inside the other to cut out my frame. Let's see if I can do this without using washi tape. Oh, I just moved it. My handle just kicked back, so I ended up moving. Let me try that again. Now, what's great about doing this is you end up with a frame, but you also end up with a piece that you can use on another card, so I wouldn't throw this away. Now, using the same designer paper, I've also gone ahead and cut out the little heart using the heart die. And what I've done with this is I used the fine tip glue pen. I actually colored the heart. And I'm going to see if I can capture this on camera. It dries really nice and hard and really shiny. So let me see if I don't know if you guys will be able to see that. It's very, very shiny and glossy. So it makes like, it's like making your own embellishment. Okay, now let me just bring in what else I need. So there's my frame. The white that is going to go behind the frame. That one measures 5 inches by 3 1/4. We're going to do some stamping on that. This is just another scrap of white for stamping. This is the new terracotta tile, 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So what I'm going to do first is bring in the Stamparatus Tool. And these are my 2 stamped images. Oh, you know what? I didn't dig out my ribbon. Now, what I want to show you how I achieved this. You notice that I colored with the terracotta tile. The color that I used on the outside is actually Pacific Point. I didn't want to take the chance on smearing the Pacific Point. So here's a little trick that I used. Let me just move this over here so I got more room. So I'm going to push this way down in the corner, grab my stamp. I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to ink up the ribbon with the terracotta tile. I'm going to stamp on my scrap first, then a second time without re-inking so that it's very light. And then I'm going to use my ink pad and squeeze it so that I can use the ink in the lid to color with. And I'm using an aqua painter. I'm just going to start way in the corner and bring it down so it lightens up. And you'll see that each time I go in the corner, I like to have the corner a little bit darker. And then also where the 2 lines meet, that's going to be my shading. You could also do this with the blends markers, but because I'm using the ink, I don't want the ink to smudge. If you were to use blends marker with the terracotta tile ink, I think it would smudge on you. So you can see that I always start at the top where the 2 lines meet and drag my color, and it becomes darker where the 2 lines meet. Now I'm going to do the same thing up here. Start way in the corner, drag down. And I'm not pressing on my aqua painter. I don't want a lot of water. And this does take practice. Okay, I'm going to do one more time. Just try to even out the color. And now I'm going to do the very back. Again, where the lines meet is going to be darker, pulled through the center. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for that. Let me put this away. Now we're going to bring the Stamparatus back in. Whoops, all of my dies stuck to the back there. I'm going to position this back where it was. Use my magnet. And I'm going to clean off my stamp because this time I want to use Pacific Point. And you're going to see how nice this outlines the whole image that we just stamped. See how nice that comes out? Let me bring it closer. So you can see if you would have tried to stamp with Pacific Point first and used a different color, you would have smeared the ink lines. So now let me bring the big shot in so we can cut out the ribbon. Okay, so there's my die shape. Isn't that cute? So that's just a little trick about coloring without using the Mento ink so that it wouldn't smear on you. You do the lighter color first and then you stamp again to outline the image. Now the next step, I want to stamp this image on the white. I want to make sure that it's below the frame. So what I'm going to do is bring this in. Okay, I need to cut this a little bit smaller. I'm just going to use my scissors. Oh, look, I just ripped that. I can cover that up, no big deal. Okay, now I know my frame is going to be about 1/2 inch. I'm going to bring this down. I can't believe I just cut that. I just ripped it. I'm going to pick up my stamp. Now again, I'm using more than one color, and I don't want to stamp with the blue first because I don't want the blue to end up smearing on the skin color and on the hair. So this time I'm going to do the same thing, except I'm using Sahara sand. Stamp on my scrap paper first to lighten it up. And I am going to restamp that, so I'm going to leave it where it is. Now I'm going to bring in the petal pink. And now you guys probably can't see this well, but it is stamped very lightly. It's just a guide so that I know where I need to color the skin color. So I'm going to do the 2 arms that are showing. One there and one, actually this one is just the hand. And then I am using Smoky Slate. Whoops. And I'm actually going to color the hair. It doesn't look too good right now, but once we add the blue back in there, you'll see the difference. So this is almost like making your own coloring book. And it doesn't matter that there's lines in the hair. This just looks like highlights. I want to make sure I got all of the hair. Okay, now we're going to go back to the Pacific Point like we did for the first image. So I'm going to ink that up. Stamp over the first image. And look how pretty that comes out with the color there already and then doing the blue on top. Now what I want to do is just take the ink lines and add a little bit of blue, very subtle. Again, I'm not pressing on the aqua painter to get any of the water out. I'm just using the ink lines. And it's just a very, very soft coloring. It almost looks like denim. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do the sentiment. So let me go ahead and remove this stamp. Make sure that's nice and straight. Okay, so there's our image. So those are just little tricks on how to stamp lightly, color first, and then do the Pacific point. Isn't that pretty? Just a way to use it without having to use black first. Now let's see if we can fix my little rectangle that I ripped. So this is going to be centered. And let me see, I'm gonna try to put it up here. I ripped it right up top there. Let's see what we can do. Now I'm going to use, well, everything is flying today. I'm going to use this little skinny strip off of my dimensionals. You could use the mini dimensionals also. So my frame is actually raised. Now let's see if I have another sheet. Here's another sheet I have. Okay. You know, us stampers, we use everything. These are little leftover guts, as I call them, from my stamping dimensional sheet. They're still good. You can still use them. Now let's see how we're going to fix this. So remember, I stamped this so that it would fall below the frame. Now I got to make sure this is centered. I hope I can glue this straight even though it's ripped. I got to do this side first. I think I can get it. It's a little crooked. This is what we get when we do live filming of our classes. Okay, now instead of tucking this up here, I'm going to glue it a little further up so I can cover what I did on my boo-boo. I'm going to bring in some mini dimensionals. I always tell my customers there's always a way to fix a boo-boo. And then I'm going to add liquid glue on this side. And let's see if we can squeeze this in there so it looks okay. It's just going to be a little bit higher than this one, but that's all right. And then this is the little heart embellishment that I created using the fine tip glue pen. If you missed the beginning of the video, I have fine tip glue pen colored all over the heart, and it's nice and glossy and shiny. Now we're going to glue that right here. And lastly, I'm going to add some bling. I'm trying to use up my little faceted dots here before they retire. So I'm just going to add a few in the background. And there's my card for today. So again, the difference is my little ribbon is a little bit higher only because I ripped my frame. So you could do it anywhere you want. And if you guys have any questions, make sure you leave me a comment. And I hope to see you guys. I can't remember what my next class. I think I have my Step It Up Sunday on my business page on Sunday at 7 p.m. So I hope to see you guys on Sunday. I hope you enjoyed my card for today. And thanks so much for stopping in. Have a good week, everyone.